Yesterday, we read chapters 20 through 22, and remember we talked about some of the main characters were Sound of Running Feet, Swan Necklace, A Lighting Dove, Red Elk, and Charging Hawk. The setting was that it started at the camp, and then they moved into the Assiniboine village. And the main problem at the beginning was that Sound of Running Feet didn't want to surrender with her tribe, so she ran away. And first, she sneaks off as everyone is asleep, and Swan Necklace joins her. Next, they run into a group hunting, and that group of hunters invite Sound of Running Feet and Swan Necklace back to their village. Then the Assiniboines feed and clothe them. After that, they sleep and wake up to head to Canada, but Charging Hawk stabs Swan Necklace. The outcome, how does this part of the story ends, is that Sound of Running Feet is kept as a prisoner and sneaks off during her wedding ceremony. Today, we are going to finish our reading. So as we are reading, I want you to pay close attention to what you notice and wonder. So on the back of Handout 25A, I want you to make a notice and wonder chart. Remember, what we notice are the things that seem important, and what we wonder are the questions we have as we read. So go ahead and open up to chapter 23 with me. I ran until I could run no longer. My heart raced, and my breath came in great gasps. I bent over and placed my hands on my knees. When my breathing slowed, I started off again. I walked as fast as I could. I walked until the stars faded and the sky grew light. I crossed a frozen stream, stepping carefully so that I did not slip. On the far bank, I knelt and broke through the ice with a stone. The cold water gave me new strength. Again, I began to walk. The sun warmed me. I would walk until I left this land behind. By evening, I would be safe across the border. I had not gone far when clouds covered the sky. It began to snow. Driven by the wind, the flakes stung my face. It was hard to walk. I dropped into a gully and pulled the ermine blanket over me. At last, the snow stopped and the sky brightened. When the sun appeared, it had moved the space of my two hands once again. It was time to go. Before I could climb out of the gully, I heard sounds. I crawled beneath the blanket and waited. Quietly, I loaded my rifle. Then I lay still, hardly daring to breathe. A single horse galloped past me. I peered from beneath the blanket. On its back was Charging Hawk. His eyes were narrowed and his face was grim. If he found me, I would pay dearly for my escape. While the sun moved across the sky, I did not stir. The white blanket blended into the snow. From 3 steps away, a rider could not see me. Pause for a second. I am really nervous at this moment. What do you think's going to happen? Write down what you notice and wonder. I slept. When I awoke, the shadows were gathering. The sun was low, and the first star shone in the sky. With my hands, I scraped snow from the ground. I ate only a little, enough to stop my thirst. Still I waited. At last, Charging Hawk returned. His horse gleamed white in the dusk. Charging Hawk was weary from dancing all night and riding all day. His head was on his chest, and he no longer looked for me. He passed the spot where I lay. I reached for my rifle. This is her moment. This is her moment. The man who killed her love, Swan Necklace. Judging by what you know about Sound of Running Feet at this moment, what decision is she going to make? I know that she likes violence. She hates what the white settlers are doing, so she wants to see her people free. I know that she is so angry at Charging Hawk for what he's done to her. Let's keep reading. I peered down the barrel and aimed it with care. When the gun spoke, the bullet would strike him squarely in the back. Slowly, I began to squeeze the trigger. Then, my eyes filled with the sight of bodies strewn across the ground. I saw the dead people. I saw my mother. I saw Swan Necklace. Does she literally see these people? No, it's in her mind. This is what's going through her mind. I saw Ollicott and Fairland. I saw all our dead chiefs, our dead warriors, our dead women, our dead children. I saw the dead bluecoats. I saw them as surely as I had seen them at Big Hole and at Bear Paws. My father's voice spoke in my head. I heard him say, "This hatred sickens my heart. All men were made by the same great spirit, yet we shoot one another down like animals." My finger fell from the trigger. The rifle slipped from my hand into the snow. I did not pick it up. Sometime the killing had to stop. I had no hate left. I watched Charging Hawk ride off of sight. It was over. I got to my feet and walked toward the old lady's country. She made a decision. She realized she did not have to kill him. She could have, but she didn't. So if we flip over our handout, this is an aha moment. This is Sound of Running Feet's aha moment. She has a realization. So how do you know this was an aha moment for Sound of Running Feet? Write down the words in the text that help you identify this moment when she realizes something important. If we go back in the text, it says, "Slowly I began to pull the trigger. Then my eyes filled with the sight of bodies strewn across the ground." And she goes into talking about how she sees all the people she cares about that have passed away. And then her father's voice speaks in her head, which means she's remembering the things her dad said. Be sure to add this to your handout. It says, briefly describe what's happening at this moment in the story. As she begins to pull the trigger, what realization does she have? At this moment, she starts picturing everyone she's known who's died in the violence of the past few months. She remembers what her father said, the hatred sickens him. And she realizes that she can end the violence. So why is this an important moment in the story? And how does it represent a change in her thinking? This moment represents a big change in her thinking. She's always wanted to fight for her people, fight for her land, fight for herself. But now she realizes that the violence has to stop, and she has the power to end it. So how is this important to the story overall? Or how do you think it relates to the story's essential meaning? So what does this say? And what does it have to do with the story overall? How does it relate to the story's theme? It shows people can make choices about how they will behave. We're responsible for our actions. The cycle of violence can end if we choose peace. This is a really important moment for Sound of Running Feet because she hasn't believed that in the past. She always believed that the right choice was to fight. And so this is a moment where she changes her thinking. And remember, we talked about when it comes to theme and essential meaning, that often we have to look at what a character thinks and how they've changed to determine what the theme is. So now, what is the essential meaning of thunder rolling in the mountains? When readers reflect on the essential meaning of a text, they consider their deepest understanding of the text and what it means. What is this story really about, and why does it matter? So what moment or scene in the book best captures or relates to the story's overall meaning? What does the main character learn in the story? In what way does she change? How does this learning or change reflect on an important message in the story? Remember that a theme is something that can be applied from story to story. It does not have any characters' names in it. I want you to write down, what do you think the theme of Thunder Rolling in the Mountains is? Add it to your Notice and Wonder chart on the front of Handout 25A.